Edition of the Coca-Cola Classic here at the Logan City Lanes produced its first real upset in our last match when young David Hardy of Queensland upset the country's best-known bowler Terry Wenban. David Hardy comes up now against Ian Hughes. Steve Mackey, can he go on his giant killing way?
Well, he looked the goods in that game. He was much more at ease with the world and the things around him, the television lights. He's got used to all that now. Ian Hughes has been bowling up a storm in practice, but so all of them have, and I think that he could well go on and win this one too.
David Hardy has done a great job in the tournament so far. He's only been in serious tournament bowling for 1 year. Started, though, at 9 years of age at Warrnambool in Victoria. He has a high game of 289, was a finalist in the 1986 South Pacific Tournament. He's from Kippering on the Redcliffe Peninsula, just north of Brisbane. Well, these days, Ian Hughes is based on the Gold Coast at Ashmore, where he's a plasterer by trade. He has a highest game of 278, but was originally from New South Wales and was a member of the Blues team from 79 through until 84. Included in his victories was the 1981 Australian Classic Singles Championship.
David Hardy, another test for the 23-year-old now from Brisbane, up against a Queensland teammate in Ian Hughes.
Well, the form he had against Terry Wenban, he continues on. It's the strike in the opening frame of this match.
Keeps on giving his fiancée a little nod there to say, well, another one bites the dust. Biggest margin we've had in our men's tournament so far is 30 pins, and the least is 6. Ian Hughes dressed up there. A lot of gadgetry on his arm. He hasn't got room for anything else there. We'll have a close look at it, no doubt. Look at all this. Well, it'd have to be about 2 or 3 things there. He needs to get to tournaments rather early, I would think, in order to dress the arm in preparation.
Needs a strapper, I think, doesn't he?
Well, we'll soon know if he needed a trainer as well.
This for his spare. And successful.
But all jokes aside, Ian bowls a full roller ball, and that's one that doesn't necessarily hook as much as some of the bowlers we've seen, and he needs all of that arm wear to help him release the ball with some authority. The full roller ball is not usually as strong a hitting ball when it hits the pins as are semi-roller bowlers.
So Ian Hughes moves over to lane 11 for the first time. And leaves himself with a difficult split for his spare.
I was watching Ian Hughes practice prior to this match. They had about 20 minutes of practice bowling. And I don't know if he got less than 9 or a strike on every ball that he bowled. And now the first 2 shots, the moment the television starts, are both 8s. He'll be aiming for the faint right side of the 6 pin. He's giving it a go.
And almost brought it off. Good try by Ian Hughes, but he leaves an open frame. So the chance for David Hardy to really press home an early advantage. He was able to do this in his match against Terry Wenban, which he surprisingly won. Although, to be perfectly fair to David Hardy, it may have been a surprise, but he won it on his merits. He bowled extremely well. Released well. He should have no trouble to pick up his spare.
Yes, and he did release that ball well. It didn't go in the right place, but it was a very strong working ball. Let's have a look at it hit the pins now. And so much work on it that it was able to get rid of those corner pins on the left-hand side of the lane.
So the spare is successfully negotiated, which means that at the end of the first frame, the completed first frame, it was 2 pins the difference in David Hardy's favour, 20 plays 18. But Ian Hughes, remembering, left an open frame in the second. Now, David Hardy across to lane number 11.
Got a break there. We'll have another look.
A very good break. 40 plays 27 at the end of the second.
The 5-pin caves in.
So a 13-pin lead to David Hardy. A handy lead early on, but a long way to go yet.
A little bit out of timing on that delivery, but he got away with it. Ian Hughes. That's the sort of ball that I've seen him put in for about 20 minutes in a row.
Fine comeback by Ian Hughes after that open frame in the second. A strike in the third is the best reply.
A lot of experience, Ian Hughes. That's better. Excellent ball.
Well bowled, Ian Hughes.
The crowd a little quieter because Ian's only been a Queenslander for a couple of years, but they're clapping the excellence of that shot, which gave Ian a double and could see him in the lead.
David Hardy coming off a strike in the third, now at the top of the fourth.
Oh boy, the Greek church, the big 5. This will test him. And in a one-game match, what would you do? Well, I think he'd be best off going for the 3 here, although that's not the way you spare it. If you want to spare it, you go for the 4 and the 7, the pins on the left side of the lane, but he's playing percentages here. He's going for the 3 on the right. Virtually impossible to pick it up from this angle.
Well, and that really does open the game up.
Yes, it's a big drop in the score, 40 in the second, down to 64 in the fourth, and only 2 of them. There's no way you can spare that, the way he went for it. He should have made sure of the 3. Those couple of pins that he's just lost there on count could be costly.
Now he needs to get that composure back. Concentrating hard.
The split hasn't done him any good. He tried too hard that time, overturned the ball again. On these lanes with the dry back ends, you don't have to do that much to get the ball to work for you. Ian Hughes is throwing a full roller and getting strike after strike. Oh dear.
And yet another open frame, 2 in a row. And just at this moment, the wheels have fallen off the cart for David Hardy. 73 he's at in the 5th. And Ian Hughes with strikes to build on in the 3rd and 4th at the top of the 5th. And builds on them all right.
Ian's been one of the most accurate bowlers in the game, and with a full roller ball, which I incidentally bowl, I'm partial to it, you have to be accurate because the ball doesn't give you terribly much pin action. The 3 strikes we've seen of Ian Hughes all have been deep in the pocket. Looking for a 4-bagger. And that one went out the window.
So the situation at the completion of the fourth frame was that Ian Hughes held a 20-pin lead, 84 to 64. And of course, David Hardy left the fifth frame open. Ian Hughes had a strike in the fifth. He's now at the bottom of the sixth with these 3 pins for his spare, which he gets.
Good placement, Ian Hughes. That's a nasty one with that sleeper pin at the back, but he put the ball in the right place to make sure of his spare.
Which means that the lead is 31 pins to Ian Hughes at the completion of the fifth frame. 31, a lot to drag back for David Hardy.
David's changed his line. He's moved to an inside line now. The lane's a little drier. And he's gone for the doctor inside. By that I mean he's moved his feet across the approach, probably about 2 spots, which is about 10 boards. That means that his ball's going to travel a different line towards the pins, and he needs to come to grips with that now in this frame on lane 11.
He needs a few more of those strikes to get back into this game.
That's a good shot. And that inside line working for David Hardy now, and he gives Ian Hughes, who wasn't looking, a long, hard glare. As if to say, I've found the range now, pal. Watch it. Oh, look at that face. I bet he wishes he could bowl again straight away.
Leaving the 2 pins up. Shouldn't present him with any problems for his spare.
Yes, this match play style where the bowler plays 2 frames and the other one sits down is unusual for Australian bowlers. It happens often in overseas tournaments and in some televised tournaments, but it's something that they're unfamiliar with, and of course they've got to sit down and think about it for a couple of minutes in between shots, and it has affected the scoring here. The score is quite low, but as I said earlier on, quite close all the same.
Will be flying to America to compete in a high roller tournament in Las Vegas, which carries overall prize money of $1 million American. Their return trip will be with the Spirit of Australia, Qantas.
Well, bowling's going great around Australia at the moment. 140 centres in the country, up from 75 bowling centres just 12 years ago. And of course, with all those extra facilities, a lot more people bowling. 290,000 people go bowling every week in Australia, John. Are you one of them?
Yes, it's a lot of people, isn't it? With about 36 million games bowled during the last year, which is an awful lot. Almost for Ian Hughes. But again, just the 1 pin that he has to pick up for the spare.
A good break for him here. Let's have a look. That pin knocks the 6 out of the way. Yes, John, I saw you watching the crew with envy before. There's a couple of good bowlers in the Channel 9 production crew.
Yes, I haven't decided to take them on as yet. I'm cutting my losses. And consistently bowled by Ian Hughes.
Yes, he looks quite composed and at peace with the situation. That grey hair belying his age is not terribly old, Ian.
So the completion of the 7th, he has 141 pins to his credit. Now David Hardy. 2 strikes to build on. Is that line right this time? It is.
And there's that long, hard look again on the way back to the bench. And that inside line has worked for him, and that's a brave move in a 1-game match. He learnt from that first game that he bowled against Kevin Harding, which was a pretty scrappy sort of a 191. He had a couple of Brooklyn strikes in that and wasn't pleased with it. On an outside line, and he's moved, oh, well, he's moved way over now on lane 11. He's a long way left. Going for a four-bagger. Boy, that was a good hit. Very good hit, and that's cut the lead now, but he's still in arrears by 9 pins after 7 frames. 132 to 141. Back up for the easy 4-pin spare. The pin that won him the game against Kevin Harding. Will it do the same against Ian Hughes? He's still behind by 9, and Ian Hughes, the oncoming bowler, has elected to finish first. He's got 2 frames to try and shut the gate.
So Ian Hughes over onto the right-hand lane, lane 12.
Cuts the lead to 8.
160 plays 152. Ian Hughes in front by 8 at the completion of the 8th frame.
And one of the problems with bowling a full roller ball under pressure, if you try to muscle the ball through, it'll roll over finger holes, as it did with Ian then. You've got to try and keep that forearm relaxed. That's a better spare ball. Well, never in danger, even though the crowd oohed and nard. Never in doubt. Ian thinking about it now. He knows that he can shut the gate here with 3 strikes. He's got a potential game of 210. The best David can do is 202. Another cliffhanger. Oh boy.
Well, he didn't shut the gate. He leaves himself with an extremely difficult split.
Yes, and he's left it wide open, as a matter of fact, and didn't learn a thing from that previous delivery where he pulled it high and left the 3-pin. Bowling's the sort of game where you need to concentrate on every single shot as it comes up and learn from your mistakes. 187 for Ian Hughes. Will it be enough? David Hardy can only lose. He's got the game won at the moment.
So a game that could see a real turnaround, where at one stage there was a 31-pin lead to Ian Hughes. That was at the bottom, at the end of the 5th, 104 to 73. Now he finishes with 187, and David Hardy with the chance for victory.
Looking for a strike. He's got it.
Got it.
A 3-time winner, David Hardy, goes on, and he'll meet Perth's Steve Wimbridge in the next match. That will be a battle of the psych artists.
And I think for the first time in this match, David Hardy gives a smile to the crowd. He's been very determined, grim-faced throughout, knowing he's had to fight hard. And it looked as though his chance had gone, but he's come back.
And what a good comeback it was. Gone for all money halfway through, 31 behind at the exact halfway mark of the game, and he's going to come up and win this one by as many as 5 pins. Brilliant performance by the 23-year-old. As I was saying a moment ago, battle of the psych artists in the next men's match when Hardy meets Perth's Steve Wimbridge. Wimbridge just out of the junior ranks a couple of years ago, and he's bowling's answer in the West to wrestling's Hulk Hogan. He's a maniac on the lanes.
Congratulations from Ian Hughes. David Hardy wins by 5. 192 to 187. Finishing in 8th place. I guess you'd be disappointed with that. 31 in front at the end of 5, and you look to have had it won.
Oh, well, that's the way it goes, John. Last year I had the same split in the 10th frame and popped up again this year, so I hope next year if I'm in it again I'll try and do a little bit better.
Thanks, Ian. Thanks for being with us. David Hardy, how are the nerves after that little encounter?
They're holding up pretty well at the moment. Ian was very unlucky in the 10th frame, and well, that's the way bowling goes.
What hope did you give yourself at the end of the 5th frame when you were 31 down?
Well, I thought I've got to get a few strikes or else, and I got away with them.
Well, it's Queensland plays Western Australia in the next match against Steve Winbridge, and that should be a great game.
Yeah, Steve will be a tough opponent. Well, we'll see what happens.
It will be a tremendous match, that one. Western Australia versus Queensland in the next round of the Coca-Cola Men's Classic from the Logan City Lanes, and you'll see it on Nine's Wide World of Sports.